Alright, quick story time before date night. It was the early days of AOL. With newly minted skeeter wings on my lapels, I finished jump school and wound up at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. It was strange times compared to today. You contacted your relatives by payphone with phone cards. New privates could completely wreck their credit score right out the gate by one of two ways. You could visit the lemon lot and get a vehicle way above your pay grade. And if you were lucky, after paying for insurance, you might be able to drive your buddies around for gas money so you had gas. Or you could get a loan for a $5,000 gateway computer. It was the days before you could put pagan on your dog tags. And if you were lucky and could afford a taxi or had a few bucks that you could lend your poor friends some gas money to get to the mall, you might be able to pick up some literature at the incense store. The one where all the civilians kind of gave it the side eye, where all the Wiccan people went. The movie The Craft had come out recently, so it was picking up steam. The days where national security were at the beep of a beeper. And when the beeper be beeping, I and many other airborne infantrymen were on call to be anywhere in the world within 48 hours. We were required to keep a packing list, ready to go at a moment's notice at all times, subject to inspections or punishment inspections. 'Cause reasons. Anything not on the packing list was not allowed. There had been some discussions in the AOL chat rooms about altars, but I wasn't allowed to take one. Confused how I should proceed, I grabbed my phone card and walked down to the outside phone banks to phone card up my Nana. She told me home is where the heart is. And while in the old days Hof meant temple, it also meant home or farmstead. So wherever I was, my heart was, and therefore my Hof or my altar. You see, the 82nd is a pretty big dog and pony show. None of this extra trappings of religious need other than the recognized ones were allowed. About a year after I arrived at Fort Bragg, because I was a crack shot and an Eagle Scout good at land navigation, I was made an officer's driver. There was a Catholic priest and a rabbi who would sneak me books. I hid them in the sergeant major's vehicle. Probably farted on him a few times. I miss that guy. He and the driver after me went boom. Great boxing coach though. His assistant coach was the assistant of the motor pool. And when I was driving whomever around, I'd have to spend time at the motor pool. And he would give me a hard time about all this Viking nonsense. But the back and forth eventually led to understanding and respect. One day his parachute didn't open. I missed that guy. Since no one was around to give the only open pagan in the entire company a hard time, the new butter bar lieutenant decided, why not him? I would quietly correct his poor land navigation when driving him. I would give him a hard time on how deleted men had much more respect than him, and he would have to earn mine. I explained to him that cadre drivers and their underbarrel grenade launchers meant that they were babysitters, and this was their pacifiers. I helped him with his piss-poor PT score, but he was a doubter, a quitter. He had all that pep and can-do attitude that they instill in the JROTC cadets in college. But the real world and war washed that right out of him, and out of the U.S. Army. And when no one was listening, he went boom. Now then, I told you these three stories of three men for a reason. Home is where the heart is. And while two of those men were black and one was Italian, they're in my heart. They are always with me. Controversial statement, but like the ancestors, they were adopted. Therefore, they are my ancestors, and I venerate them, especially on Memorial Day and Father's Day. They were like fathers to me, you see? This big-eared troublemaker from Flint who was late on his gateway computer payment, I was 20, and in my formative years, with no altar, no guidance other than my grandmother, and some chat rooms on AOL. And the only guidance and motivation or whisperings or pushes or pulls I've ever had is to honor them and to bring honor to my family name. Because in that old copy with dog-eared pages and a rounded Havamal from being in my cargo pocket that somehow still has sand in it. There was this piece of wisdom when we first landed in Bosnia that stuck with me. Cattle die, friends die, and you too will die. But the one thing that will never die, the reputation of the dead. I had no altar to do my thing, no mead nor horn, just some shelf-stable bread and peanut butter packets. What tasted like 48-hour-old coffee. In the years following all this, I had the ability to do that stuff. I just felt no need. In my reading and observances of the sagas, I've picked up a few other things too. When they were out being merchants or raiding or fighting each other, all that stuff was when they were back in the rear, back in civilization, when there was a Hoff. And if they did these things, they did the best they could with what they had in the field, on the longship. And I think people in modern times take it way too serious as something they need or have to have. I'm not knocking it, but I think people overthink it. And I'm not knocking anyone that's a craftsperson earning a living at this. That's a noble endeavor. We need more craftspersons, if you ask me. I've just never viewed it as a requirement. If you have a kindred and it gets along, consider yourself lucky. Not all of us had that kind of community nor guidance. In closing, relax. Have a Snickers. Wherever you go, it goes with you. And so do your ancestors. Even the ones that were adopted, fostered, or married into your line. Some of us keeping our oaths to defend your freedom of religion could give two fucks about your opinions. But cancel me if you like. If anything, I've got more time for all the homework and reading. And I'll still happily come visit your kindred or your event, participate in your bloat, because that's what Skalds did. So be mindful of your reputation. It's the one thing you will leave behind, with only the living who didn't go boom, to spread it. Just something to think about, and I hope you're doing well, friend. Ah-cha-cha-cha-cha-cha-cha.